Hi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy Thursday evening to join me. I really do appreciate it. And so tonight I want to talk about waiting versus procrastinating. All right, and did you see how I did that there? Very clever of me. Sort of just like pause enough for there to be some kind of like wait. And by wait, I do mean in this very dumb phonetical English sense, like the existential kind and not the kind that you pick up. I'm not in charge of the words around here, but I do know that that is a classic example of why I am not a huge fan of dumbed down, westernized modern English. One is spelled W-A-I-T and the other is spelled W-E-I-G-H-T. So for all the linguistic anthropologists out there, make it make sense. Anyways, sidebar, I know, but something that bothers me every single time I open up my mouth and talk about something that, has multiple meanings, but nowhere near the same spelling and also the same pronunciation. Again, I just am not the guy making up the rules, so tonight I want to talk about waiting versus procrastinating. And there I was procrastinating, and so kind of the juxtaposition there of waiting versus procrastinating. Listen, as a 30-year-old, oh my god, I'm definitely not 30. As a 38-year-old, many times over failed individual in life, losing is what I'm best at. I say that, I have become the master of procrastination. Absolutely. Talk about self-fulfilling destiny. Here I am trolling myself in front of the whole world to see, all while the majority of it's true so far as the standard definition of being successful goes, and my inability and or unwantingness to sort of participate in a system that doesn't allow all of us the same opportunity equally in that way as it needs to be, but those are my individual problems. Anyways, you ever wonder why I'm single and always talking trash about myself? I just know that I know what procrastinating is like, right? Because again, procrastinating, versus waiting is sort of like when you procrastinate, it's something that you're capable of doing, that's perfectly possible in completion. It's just you keep putting it off, for whatever reason. I guess that's why there's a word for it, which is procrastination. I have, again, I've done this. This is what I'm good at in life. Talking about nothing and procrastinating. Yeah, it is definitely, it can be a character flaw. And I think that procrastinating can also be a symptom of a larger ailment, whether it's societal or individual. And it's really not beneficial at all to procrastinate when there's stuff that's got to get done and people need to be doing it. And if we continue to sort of pass the buck, as they say, to the next generation and or person, whether again it's problems that we have on large levels or problems that we experience individually, these things are not good. Again, I'm not a therapist. I'm not anything at all like that, but I just feel like shelving things is not good. It's not good, especially if you have every intent on doing them, and then you don't ever get around to doing it. The road to hell is paved with good intention. This is what I hear. This is what I'm hearing. This is what I've heard. Anyways, procrastinating, again, is like, there's really no reason for it, right? Because it might not be something that you actually want to do or something that you're willing to commit to doing. I mean, you commit and you get down on the fact that you got to get through every day. And so I think as conscious human beings, our ability to sort of shelve things is a problem. And mental health conversations are a large part of young people's lives, and just because the boomers and the uncool Xers aren't hearing about it, and it's not woke culture by any stretch of the imagination to be able to talk about your feelings and so forth and things like that. I just think that procrastinating is not good. It can really impede what otherwise could be good lives. And that's kind of the problem, I think, more or less with just like society in general, is that as every day goes by, more people have less of an opportunity to experience a good life. And just because the world is a better place in 50 years doesn't mean that it should have come at the cost of all the people who've had absolute terrible lives before that. I mean, this isn't like a give and take kind of a situation. At least that's not what we should be aiming for, so far as net positive gains go and overall ways that societies function, in and of itself, and with and amongst one another and so forth on an international stage and so forth. And I just, I guess procrastinating is just as bad as waiting. The more that we wait, the more that we have a reason to procrastinate, and the more things just don't get done. And again, it's just like we have to stop waiting for progress. We have to stop procrastinating in hopes that our actions are going to somehow be better in the future, in a place where they're more welcome than in a time where currently those said actions and our behaviors aren't welcome, right? And things like that. Again, because there's a lot of people that'll be waiting forever. And I think that the solution to that is doing things like this, watching my show, being a part of my life, seeing me in character here, talk about all these very interesting things. At least that's what I tell myself, right? I mean, Jesus Christ, I have to stay positive, right? Otherwise, this would just be like a terrible show to watch. I wouldn't be wanting to make it, and I wouldn't be willing to make it. And wouldn't you know, I'm like everyone else, and I also feel like waiting has been hand in hand like the single biggest perpetrator of me procrastinating, and it's just stupid. It's a very dumb thing to do. I feel like it can be strategical, or it can be like a strategy. That's how it can be used. But again, like even in strategies, I guess it's just do what you can now while you can, so that if you ever can't, you've done what you can. If that makes any sense at all. I think that's more important than constantly than always procrastinating and waiting for things to change in your life. Again, like you just gotta do it. You gotta be like the change that you seek, right? I think that's what Gandhi said. Mahatma Gandhi wasn't the best person in the world. Moreover, I'd argue he was kind of a really evil person, but hey, we all have our own opinions, and the guy did have a positive life on a lot of different strangers, low key, low bar joke, but I dare say anyone who didn't come within, reaching distance of the old guy. Oh, I'm just saying, right? Credit where credit is due, and unfortunate truths where unfortunate truths are. I mean, look who's talking to you. You see this thing that I got on my head? I just feel like having this conversation is something that was worthwhile tonight, and also we needed something to talk about. So, like, I understand this show's called Vlogs About Nothing, but, like, I was going to talk about the $2,000 stimulus check or whatever that I'm actually hearing about IRL. And what's interesting is I've now heard about it in passing earshot from many different people in different circumstances in their lives. I live an interesting life, right? I mean, sometimes I get an opportunity to hang around real well-to-do people, and other times, I am blending right on in with those that have more than me still, but and look better, but look more like this. Look more like the guy that you find on your public bus, getting around town trying to stop at the local dispensary and go to Walmart because it's the only place I can afford to go, kind of a thing. That's all that I'm saying, right? And yeah, so I just wanted to talk not about the $2,000 checks. If Trump is able to send every single individual in this country $2,000 checks, then hey, don't not take the money. You feel me? But like, does it change the fact that our government is fascist and things aren't going well and no one has jobs still? I mean, again, take the money and remind yourself that if the government is capable and are willing to just send out money on the whim to people, right, and that they're able to, then like, why wouldn't you want the government to continue to do those kinds of things, not just in theory but in actual practice? And that would then allow you to live your best life. You feel me? You want to have 10 kids, that's great. You want to have 10 kids with 10 different people, hey, more power to you. I'm just saying that those things wouldn't be possible, and I guess right now aren't currently possible because of the era of which we're in, where, friendly reminder, corporate socialism is something that is not only accepted but practiced on the daily. And what a wonderful deal for all the good corporations out there. Shout out to all the good people in the world doing God's work, by allowing and or enabling corporate executives to continue to utilize the speak of corporate socialism as something that is entirely and totally acceptable, all while completely just not in the real world applicatory principles of which all of us could definitely benefit from. Okay, I'm done. Hey, listen, guys, I really appreciate y'all watching my videos. I posted a short this morning. Thank you to my friend Efren for allowing my roommate and I to be a part of his really cool show. And, it's always a really good day when so many good people are involved in my life and they have other different cool things going on, all while we collectively share some very shared and creative passion or passions. And in this case, that would be like acting and so forth. And yeah, I mean, my hair was getting in my face, and it's now at that point where it's getting a little long. And I've gone through this rodeo before, so I know that I'm trying to get it a certain way, and it's way different than it was before, because at this point, I was out in Tempe, and I had gotten the sides shaved off, and it was like a Roman Reigns kind of a look. And it was unfortunate, because nobody got to see it, because I was like at work for 12 hours a day for 4 months straight, prior to the pandemic. And that allowed me to take a very much needed break. But I remember that is when that was going down, and I remember that because I had regretted it, just like I had regretted now shaving my beard. And so, you live and you learn. And so, like, next time, I guess what I've learned is that if I'm going to let my hair grow out, you can't half-ass it, you feel me? And you just got to, like, let it grow. And I know that sounds like a simple thing to do, but it's not. It gets uncomfortable. You begin to hate yourself just a little bit more every day for the way that you look, and you think that you can make it better, and then you pay somebody at a barber shop to make it better, and it ends up setting you back another 6 weeks. These are the decisions that sometimes stupid people make, and I am not immune to being stupid, So all I'm saying is I think that was a stupid thing to do. And dear diary, please, in the future, if you dedicate yourself to something that is, part of your body, you gotta commit, Albert. God damn it. You can't keep doing these things to yourself and your body. You gotta see it through, That's just, I guess, like anything in life. I mean, if I hadn't shaved my beard or trimmed it or paid to make it look worse than it, I guess it already was. I would look like, it would be sick, you feel me? I would look like Wolverine 2.0, you know? Like, I'd look like Wolverine's dad, you feel me? Like, I'm the origin story of Wolverine, you know? Who is Wolverine's dad anyway? They gotta do origin stories on, like, who these superhero parents are. Like, I wanna know who Wolverine, where did Wolverine get his attitude from, right? His mother, his father. Am I totally stupid? Does he already have a backstory? Is Wolverine a former, like, was he like a wolf or something, or like a Wolverine? Because that's an animal, which is not a wolf, and I am not a dumbass. And anyways, I hope that you guys take care of yourselves. I'm gonna wrap this video up. I hope that you guys have a wonderful evening. There's really not much else to report. My personal life is going just as good as it always is, which I guess can go either way. At this current time, it's going pretty good. Learning how to be an old man, make friends, and more importantly, and this is what we're going to talk about in another video if I remember, but it's going to be like moving on from your past, like legit, low-key, like no caps, just IMO, IRL, moving on, and what that means for you and the people around you, and how you shouldn't hate yourself or other people for being able to essentially reinvent themselves, and you know, they don't have like any kind of personality disorder, or there's nothing wrong with them, and in fact they should be applauded a little bit more in the way that, like, I really applaud people who have thick skin and don't let a single thing in their lives, or the people, or the drama, or the smoke at all get to them. Because, you know, like, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. And what matters, right, what matters, and this is what people fail to realize because we're all so stupid and we make such dumb decisions, is that, like, now is what matters. You feel me? Like, the decisions that you make now, right? Because now, you know, you kind of have had the time to learn from different mistakes that you've made and so forth, and so, like, you'd really have to be a bigger dumbass even than me to not begin to realize at some point in your life that you can be a better person, and that you don't have to wait, you don't have to procrastinate, you can do it now. And in fact, you must demand these things from yourself now, not tomorrow, not next week, not sometime in the near future. You gotta do it now. Trust me, coming from this guy, you know, it takes a lot of mental energy to want to get up here every single night and talk, you know, more than you'd think. And once I start doing it, it's all good and everything, and it's good and it's fun and it's great, and it reminds me that this is what I love to do. But still, that initial sort of getting off my ass and making it happen is the toughest part of all of this. And seriously, I can talk for hours to a crowd of thousands of people completely without shame and in a very comfortable manner. But, you know, making that happen is something that I'm reluctant to do because, well, I'm a lazy guy, you know, and I've said this before, and it's something I've learned to accept. God damn, there's only so much a guy can do, right? And all at the same time, there's a huge part of me too that is extremely energetic, can get a lot of things done in a short period of time, and I appreciate the dichotomy of the different kinds of parts of my personality, you know? I hope that you guys have a really wonderful night. Shout out to all my new friends and stuff, and all these really wonderful things that are happening in my life, and have always been grateful, will always be grateful, and again, couldn't do it without any of these people, you know, and so shout out to them. They all know who they are. I hope that you guys have a really good night. Thanks for watching my show, and we'll see you guys real soon, alright? Bye!